Science you can try at home. One of the things we've found, guys, you might have seen before, is you can take two different objects, say like these two things here, and if you drop them at the same time, they fall at about the same sort of speed, even though they're slightly different weights, right? So the weight doesn't matter too much. So, is there a way that we can make something fall slower? Say it's like this block here. How could we make that fall a bit slower? And the answer is we can use something called a... starts with P, ends in... Paranoia? No?
Use when they jump out of a plane.
Parachute.
Parachute, well done. Okay, so we're going to have a go at making our own one today.
Yeah.
We'll need a few things to start with. So we need a very light plastic bag like this one here for this experiment. And I've got some for you ready to go as well. We need something that's a little bit heavier, so I've chosen these little wooden blocks here, or it could be a nail or a screw or anything like that. Some cotton. Cotton's better than string because it's not as heavy. It's a little bit more fiddly to tie on, so you need to take your time. And this tape is just so that you can tape the string onto the block. Yes, sweet pea?
If we can't tie them, can we get some help?
Of course.
Yes. And if you're watching this at home, you might need your mum or dad or somebody with dexterous fingers to help you out too. So the first step is to cut this plastic bag, and you can, depends on the type of plastic bag that you get, into as close to a square as you can. Now these scissors are not super great. It doesn't have to be perfect, by the way, guys. Just roughly, or as neatly as we can, but these scissors aren't allowing it to be very neat. And we're going to make a square out of it. Oh, these are really not good at all, are they?
Shall I get you a bit of hair?
Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah, we'll need them soon anyway. I'm kind of more ripping it than cutting it right now, but. Oh, here we go. Ooh, and one of my favourite colours too. Look at that beautiful pink things.
Pinky Winky.
Yeah, just like my pyjamas.
You don't have Pinky Winky.
So we end up with a lovely big sheet open like that. So you can see that's quite a big surface area of plastic, and that's what we're after.
Do we have to cut it into a circle, or do we have to...
No, just a big rectangle or a square like that is perfect.
There's
So,
enough for everyone. Do you
there's
put
going to be
a
enough
hole
for everyone.
through there?
Now we don't need to put a hole in it. All we're going to do is take 4 little bits of the cotton. You see that in there at home, right? And we're going to cut 4 lengths per parachute. So we'll get them.
Yeah.
Yep. Make them all roughly. They don't have to be exactly the same length, but if they're about the same length, it makes it easier. So we'll help you get this stuff sorted out, guys, don't worry. If you're at home, you can ask for help from brothers or sisters or mums or dads.
So we can carry on at home.
Yep. Well, maybe. I think you guys will here. You guys here will be able to do it today.
We're not
So,
at home time.
so here's the trick. What we want to do is just sort of twist the corner like that. Only a little bit. Here's the bit where it's a wee bit fiddly, because what we want to do is tie. Is that in the shot there? Yeah, only just.
And then do we tie it back together?
We're going to tie it as tight as we can there.
On each side?
Onto the corner, yep. So what we end up with is 4 bits of string that are just dangling off the end there. String or cotton in this case. And we're going to meet those all together somehow.
Oh, I can see it now.
Yeah, you see that on in TV land. Yeah, you can all. So those all join together. And we could, if we wanted to, we could make a knot there as well. Make it a little bit more secure.
Can you make a tiny plane for me? off it.
So we'll pull those together like that. It's a little bit messy, but you get the idea. Then the trick is to take one of our blocks. We'll use this one here. It'll do the trick nicely. I'm going to tape that on as securely as we can, and Jen's going to help me with that bit. Yeah, disastrously bad tape dispenser there. Now, any guesses about what's going to happen to the block when we drop it using this parachute?
know.
What do you think?
It's gonna float down.
It's going to float down. Shall we try? Okay, all right.
So that has to be.
Okay, so you can watch it on the screen, or you could watch it for real.
You should watch it from here.
Am I in the shot?
Yes.
Okay, so the idea is then that our block won't fall so fast because of the parachute.
Whoa!
How cool is that? Now, we can make a comparison, can't we? We knew that these two blocks fell at exactly the same speed before. So we'll get them both together and we'll see if our thing is still true. So we're going to drop them at the same time.
3, 2, 1, go. Oh.
Makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's make our own parachutes. Oh, they work beautifully, guys.
Parachute.
You guys, if you like fall in the wind.
Okay, oh, it almost worked.
Alright guys, I'm gonna try that again.
Parachutes work by increasing the amount of drag or air resistance an object has. Without a parachute, gravity pulls at falling things until they reach their terminal velocity. That is, they end up going as fast as the air will let them. For a person, that's about 195 kilometers an hour. The parachute hugely increases the overall surface area, and the molecules of the air push back against it. This works against the gravity pulling it down and slows the descent drastically. The idea of parachutes isn't new. Even as early as the 1400s, people thought of ways that they might be able to slow their fall using a parachute kind of device. The very earliest designs were like this cone, and Leonardo da Vinci invented one that looked a bit like a fabric pyramid. A little bit later on, in the 1600s, they invented one that looked a little bit more like our modern parachutes, except that it had a wooden frame instead of just being a loose thing. Actually, modern style parachutes were probably invented somewhere in the 18th century. There's a Frenchman who recorded a jump from a balloon. When his balloon failed, he flew down using a parachute to save his life. By the early 1900s, parachutes were being developed much more along the lines of how we'd expect modern ones to be. In this picture, you can see one being tested off the Eiffel Tower in France. It's much more like the kind of parachute that they used from planes in the wars. Very modern parachutes don't look much different from the very original ones, but they're usually rectangular and have two skins, and they form cells that make much more of a wing type of shape. They can glide much more slowly and you can steer them. In these pictures, you can see my son Liam having a go at a tandem parachute where a professional parachuter takes control and the person just goes along for the ride strapped onto the front. Still dangerous, but safer because the person in charge knows what they're doing, and it's a whole lot of fun if you ever get to try.